Okay. Uh, One of the conversations that people in the lighting industry have had for many years, and it seems to be one of those irresolvable issues, is how do we protect our specifications? What do we have to do to actually get the product that we want into a building so that when we then look at the building at the end of the day, we say, that's what I designed. That's what I was looking for. Well, I'm speaking with David Geddes, who's director of CO2 Target, who has come up with a methodology. And David and I have been talking around this for some while now. So I think here's an opportunity for us to share the magic, as it were. David, tell us how you got into it and what it is that you're doing that the rest of us are missing.
Hi, John. Well, my background is with electrical wholesaling, and I was with another company for 16 years. So I got to know the products very well, and I got frustrated that not always the solution that we first presented got to the client. And there was lots of reasons for that, some good reasons, but ultimately frustration that the Chinese whispers of understanding what we were trying to sell them got lost. So 10 years ago, we began CO2 Target, and I believe we've got fantastic manufacturers in the UK and abroad, and I believe that we've got all the solutions that we need in today's marketplace. And I think the clients are connected clients, and they know what they want at the end of the day. And what we're trying to do is make that connection between the product and the client become an easy and seamless one.
Okay, now at that point, we are all, I think, singing from the same sheet, in that we've all put schemes in front of clients. The problem seems to come beyond that. The scheme has been agreed, the scheme has been approved, the installation is a complete mystery. So what have you done to connect the specification that the client goes, that's the sort of thing we want, to the one that when you turn up at the end of the day and you go, that's not what I asked for? Where's the link between those two?
Okay, so we operate a three-phase system as a business, and we report to the client what we can achieve on site. We will always sit down with the client and ask them what they are looking to achieve within a project. And that goes back to my earlier statement. Most of the clients know what they want to achieve. They don't always understand the products that are available in order to achieve that. So we, through our initial report, detail if it's a retrofit solution, what they have got, what they could do, and we report upon the cost of that, the specification, and a return on investment to the client with the savings they've made. But the specification is key to us, that we understand what the client is looking for, we break down that specification, and in terms of lighting, we break down the products that we're going to be using as well. So that starts with the chip quite often, and the efficiency of that chip, going onto the board structure and going into the luminaire. So we make sure that at each stage, we make that very clear to the client what we're looking to achieve. And when it gets to the time of actually construction, if there's going to be amendments made, that we defend the specification that we first put together for the client. And there's always huge issues on sites with time pressures, and sometimes those time pressures mean the specifications are put to one side. So if there is a change in specification, because we understand the industry, we're able to understand why the contractor or what the contractor wants to change, and we will either, with the client's approval, allow that change or not. And that way we ensure that what the client's paying for, the client receives at the end of it. And furthermore, we quite often do the commissioning works. So we make sure that we've set out the specification, we make sure we're in touch with the client through the project to make sure the specification remains correct, and then we then commission the project in order that it then performs as per the report we've written in the first place.
Okay. Now, you said something right at the start of that, which I think sets you apart a little way, in that you look at the components that are going into a luminaire. So you're conscious of the chip and its performance, and the electronics, presumably the driver and so on. Does that mean that your written specification is not just a manufacturer's specification on the fixture, which can be then at risk on an equal and approved assessment by a contractor. But you're actually taking the details of chip performance and writing that into the specification as well?
Yes, absolutely. We are looking at the clients. We've been frustrated for some years now about some of the products that we're seeing that clients end up with. And the only way that we were able to give a fair, balanced approach and an open, independent viewpoint was to actually look at the delivered lumens on these fittings. And it meant that we had to then look at the chip performance. So if we are writing specification, we have that chip performance written into the specification, and then that turns into what the optics are and what's the light reduction going to be on that. So at each stage, I'd say the manufacturers are fantastic and they've got great product solutions. But what we offer the client is we don't have to pick from one manufacturer. We're looking at a specification solution. And if somebody can come up with an equal or approved on the specification and the deliverables, then that's absolutely fine for the project.
Okay. I was talking with the manufacturer earlier today, actually, about their intention to upgrade the quality of their data sheets. So it's not just mechanical description and a light output and so on, actually putting real data into that. That's a great step forward, but I wonder if that is enough for you to be able to take a manufacturer at their word, or do you get hold of the fitting, deconstruct it, look at all of its components, and then say, yes, we're happy with that?
We would typically, if there is, it's manufacturer dependent on where the client wants us to go. But ordinarily, we would have a sample of the fitting that the client that somebody has proposed, and absolutely, we would take that fitting apart to check the driver. And if we've specified, for example, Tridonic, we make sure that's what's inside it, and it goes down to chip construction as well. And if we're not happy with the data sheet, we have an option. It's not that costly these days to get independent testing on all these fittings to look at deliverable lumens per watt. And I think we all go back to the introduction of LED dichroic equivalents. We were all trying to hit a certain lumens, and people did it in lots of different ways. Narrowed the beam, made a cooler chip. So with these dreadful, very spotty blue LED downlights, yes, in one respect it did hit the specification, but it wasn't a real running example. So we make sure that any specifications we approve, it's in the real working environment. Okay.
I'm a little bit of a concern, because obviously I get this. I can see what the difference is, but I can also see that within the lighting design sector, we are very poor at technical analysis, I think. I can't think of many lighting designers who have any kind of qualification around the technical side. They are designers. That's their forte. Do you feel that what we need to do is dare I say, go back to school? Do we need that technical information? Do we need to bring that kind of technical expertise into the design studio, or do we need lighting designers knowing people like you who can take that on as a separate specialist piece of design technology?
I think some of it comes to what the client's looking to achieve, John. And I think if they're looking for an architecturally led solution that looks fantastic, then that's one option. The clients we deal with are looking for a high performance product. And for that, we must understand the components that are inside it. And we're not going to be blindsided because the client has picked a well-known manufacturer and said that must be right, and this is the okay way to go. So we're always looking at, I think that the clients that we engage with are the ones that we sit with them at the early stages of the project, and we've typically done a report to understand what we're looking to achieve, and that's what then goes out into tender pack. It's not a situation that we're told by the manufacturers what products we're going to be using. I think it starts with the client making decisions on the performance. Now, where we sit, I don't always know, John. I think that we sit with architects and we sit with end clients and we sit with with end users. And all we're trying to offer is a different way of achieving the same project. So I would say, from our point of view, we've got some clients that a project never gets off the ground until we understand and we sat down what they want to achieve. And it's only when we've put some numbers to that, does it get to the stage of tendering.
Okay. I'm trying to imagine where we are around the project table. The lighting designer sits there with hopefully an electrical engineer on one side, an architect on the other side, the client across the table, some contractors wandering around in the shadows. And I'm wondering where this technology, this level of technology sits. You'd expect maybe an electrical engineer to have more nous around how LEDs sit, but I don't know that there are that many who are sufficiently focused, because the electrical engineer, let's face it, is trying to wire an entire building, and they may not care too much about the performance of a chip. So it does come down to that thing of if I'm the person who is going to be putting a lighting specification that is going to be at risk from value engineering further down the track, it has to come from me in some way. So either I have got to up my game in order to ensure that my specification looks like your specifications, or else I'm ringing you up and saying, how much are you going to charge me if I ask you to look at this spec? We've only got 30 types of fittings on it, but I need them all to do what they say on the tin, and I do not want contractors to come in and change it. That seems to me that's the place that we have to go to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you and I've discussed this before. I don't believe a contractor-led solution is the right solution for the marketplace. I think contractors are fantastic at what they do, but as you said earlier, they are focused on installing that product the quickest they can. Yeah. I also think the buying decisions that people make sometimes start to change specifications. Maybe it might be lead time, it could be credit availability with a wholesaler. There could be a lot of reasons as to why products are selected. And all we're saying is that we will, at the outset, select a specification and products that will do the job. Now, it must be equal or approved, and we must have that offer to contractors. And if they bring up 30 solutions for a project, that we can then look at those critically and say, yes, that is to our specification, or no, it's not. And this isn't, we don't have a specification, John, that's going to be unbeatable. We are only looking at lumens per watt that are very achievable in the industry today. Yes, there are products out there that have got manufacturing leading performance, but we're not looking for that. What we are looking to do, for example, in 2018, we stopped any luminaire going on of backlit product that didn't perform 100 lumens or more. Now PL downlights were a little bit more difficult to do, and actually when we introduced that, it meant that we'd only buy from a few manufacturers, and the cost to the client went up, we felt, disproportionately to the money they would save in a life cycle saving. So we don't make this impossible. All we're asking is that people look at what they're doing, and rather than just saying it looks okay, that's one thing, but let us help you understand whether it is the right solution. And I think a case study that's very in my forefront of my mind at the moment is one we did for the NHS. The site's now 6 years old, but you couldn't improve that 30% today with a specification we wrote 6 years ago. It's got wireless controls. We did a software update included in some support we offered to the client, so that was for free. We had daylight harvesting. We've got DALI drivers in there. We've got a less than 5% failure rate because we've underrun everything. So we understand, for example, if we underrun the LED on the milliamp circuitry by 200 milliamps, what does that mean to our lumen output? What does that mean to our L90, L80 data? So these are all things we're looking for at the beginning of the project. And that NHS client is very happy. It's been, they were constantly, they have 100 sites just in London for this particular wing of what they do. And they were constantly going around trying to fix things that were well within warranty, but they weren't performing. And that's the frustration that I feel, and I'm really passionate about what we do. And as you know, we do things outside the lighting industry, but we get very frustrated when, and the thing that I would always say to clients is that they get what they pay for, but not what they always wanted. And I think they've gone down a traditional route. They've picked one of 5 contractors that are going to supply this. And really, at that point, they've let go of the project. So what we do with clients is we make sure that, and this is not just what we do, other people are doing it, but we make sure we stick true to that specification. And if the project is going to get changed, we understand why, what effect it'll have.
So with that extra technical input, with that extra knowledge about the specification and what it can do and how it will perform, are the clients then more prepared to ring fence the lighting specification? So that when we get into that, we've got to save 20% across the project. Yeah, save 20% everywhere else, but you're not saving it on my bit, because we've told you that this is how much it needs to cost you in order to gain those savings further down the line. Is that a conversation that you're then able to have?
Absolutely. I mean, the client understands, because we do a fully costed document, and the client knows how much money it will cost them. And if they want to save 20%, we'll tell them what in the specification is going to suffer, or what's going to be reduced in the specification, should I say, to save that, to make that saving. So absolutely, we sat on a job in Birmingham late last year, and there was problems with the roof structure, and people were looking for very sizable changes in the budget. And of course, they come to the lighting, the controls element, and we were able to say, look, I'm really sorry, but this can't be touched, because we have designed this with the budget that you've offered, and if you want to reduce it, of course, it's your decision. But this is the ramifications of you not achieving this. Now, for them on that particular one, they wanted a plug-and-play solution. They wanted a bespoke color on the fittings. They wanted a performance level that was very high. And but one element that wasn't looked at through this whole conversation was the installation cost, because it had moved from a traditional new build and a new wiring loom going in, and time clocks put places and photo cells, which is pretty outdated, but that's what they wanted. Well, that's what the contractor wanted, should I say. We were able to say, no, well, let's offer you a plug and play solution. And therefore, let's look at the installation cost, which hadn't been looked at. And actually that provided all the savings they needed. So absolutely, we were able to, with confidence, say to the client, this is a ring fence cost, and it's your money, your decisions, but this is what will happen if we change this. And I think once they understand that, they're better able to make a clear decision. Okay,
David, that's been fantastic. And my takeaway from this, tell me if I'm wrong. Clients will make decisions on the basis of what you tell them. The more you tell them, the stronger that decision is going to be. The more you speak to them and the more information you provide them with, the more their buy-in is there. So that when it comes, if push does come to shove, the idea of ring fencing a cost is more likely. Manufacturers can help us by, as my friend this morning, creating more information for us, more ammunition that we can actually put into that specification. And I suspect that probably from my side, from the design side, we probably do need to work harder on the quality of the specification that we're putting together. The value engineering vultures are constantly circling. We have to do what we can to make sure they cannot land on that part of the project that we know is that important. Right. Okay. Well, maybe we can hope for that. If people can take this on, we might not have that conversation at 3 o'clock in the morning in a hotel bar anymore. That would make a change.
Well, that would be great.
It would be, wouldn't it? Right. I'm just going to say to everybody, because you're looking very, very well, but this man hasn't had any sleep for the last 4 months because he's got a new baby. And so, David, thanks ever so much for spending the time with us today. And we will talk about more things again soon, I'm sure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, John.
but that is the job.
Yeah.
It is our job. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter where the value lies. The value sometimes is purely financial. The value sometimes is purely aesthetic. You have to find out where that value sits for the client, and you earn your fee not by doing the lighting design, actually, but by answering the question of value. And if my medium is light, then sure, that's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
But sometimes we act as counselors for these people. What is it you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Don't know really. Well, let's talk about it. Would you like to lie down on the couch and we can see what it is you're up to?